Hi, I'm Matt Bainbridge. I'm currently a dietetics intern student with Bowling Green State University, and today we're going to spring into action. But specifically, we're going to spring your brain into action. So we're going to talk about the brain. So what are we going to learn today? Today we're going to learn about why nutrition is so important to the brain. We're also going to learn about how the brain and the gut are directly related to each other and how they impact each other. We're also going to talk about what foods help your brain and your gut. And we're also going to learn how your diet will power your brain by connecting all the pieces together. So the points I want you to take away from this, and we're going to go over this at the end as well, is the main one I want you to take away is healthy gut equals a healthy brain. And we'll dive real deep into that. And I also want you to be able to know how to regulate your gut. I want you to know what types of foods you can eat to help with your gut health. And then I also want to teach you a little bit about foods that will help power your brain because they're all related. So you're probably a little confused. You're probably asking yourself, how are the brain and the gut actually connected? Well, we're going to get into that. So studies have found that there's a direct connection between digestion, mood, health, and your actual thought process. This is through several gut hormones that impact cognition. The enteric nervous system, what is that exactly? So it's two thin layers of 100 million nerve cells that line your GI tract. And it goes from your esophagus to your rectum. And in those nerve cells, that's pretty much what sends messages from your gut to your brain. So you're probably thinking like butterflies in your stomach, or if you have that feeling of excitement in your stomach, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Those are those nerves at work. So its main role, the enteric nervous system's main role, is to control digestion, absorption, and elimination. So basically from mouth to the south. And the ENS is basically what triggers your emotional shifts. So if you're having issues with irritable bowel syndrome, constipation, diarrhea, bloating, pain, upset stomach, any of these issues, it can also affect your mood and your brain function, your cognition. So since we now know how important the gut is to the brain and the brain function, how do I improve my gut? And there's always ways to get better. Maybe you do have a good routine and you're regular, but there's always little things and little, having a little knowledge on the subject will also help kind of improve everybody's gut health. So how do I actually improve my gut? The answer is actually really simple. We're going to dive deep into the answer, but the answer is eat a variety of foods. And I feel like this is a very repetitive theme with all the nutrition lectures, all these PowerPoints, and all these YouTube videos that you're probably watching. You probably have heard me say eat a variety of foods like 1,000 times at this point. Well, we're going to relate that to your gut and your brain. So there are hundreds of bacteria in your intestines, and they play different roles, and each nutrient that you absorb, that you eat, plays a specific role related to those bacteria. And this is the good bacteria we're talking about. So your body wants diverse microbiota, which are microorganisms. Your gut wants to be diverse in order for you to absorb the right foods and in order for your brain to function properly. So the one thing I do want to kind of touch on too is that you also want to avoid high trans or saturated fatty foods and foods that are high in processed sugar. So, your junk foods basically, because they have a negative effect on your gut, which would then in turn have a negative effect on your brain. You may feel good when you're eating these junk foods, but it's probably only for a short amount of time, and that's just because these foods process through your body so quickly. So the first thing I want to talk on and kind of how to regulate your body and what you can eat to help if you do have gut issues or even if you don't, but this is something that can help out your gut and your brain. First thing I want to touch on is pre and probiotics. So basically, this is a great quote that I read. Prebiotics are the breakfast, lunch, and dinner for probiotics, which restores and can improve GI health. So keep this quote in mind. So prebiotics are the promoters. Prebiotics are natural and non-digestible food components that are linked to promoting growth and helpful bacteria in your gut. So this is the precursor. This is why it's the breakfast, lunch, and dinner of probiotics, because it's fueling the probiotics. Well, what are probiotics? It's the good bacteria. They're live cultures that are found naturally in the gut, and you can actually consume in foods. It helps repopulate the intestinal bacteria. It helps boost immunity, overall health, and essentially it helps your GI tract. So I want to show you guys some sources of prebiotics and probiotics. So prebiotics are foods that are grown. You can essentially find these in all fruits and vegetables, beans and legumes, but the foods that I have listed here are specifically high in prebiotics. So bananas, onions, garlic, leeks, asparagus, artichokes, soybeans, and whole wheat foods. We're going to touch on these foods a little bit later too. And then your probiotics, they can be found, like I said, it's a live culture, so they're found in fermented dairy products such as yogurt, kefir, aged cheeses, and then you can also find it in non-dairy products like kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, tempeh, and non-dairy yogurts as well, because they do supplement them in the non-dairy yogurts. And it's the way it's processed, it's the way it's fermented. So non-dairy yogurts are fermented the same way that dairy yogurts are. So, like I said before, and like I just mentioned, another way to help improve your gut is to eat vegetables, legumes, beans, and fruits. Fruits and veggies are the best sources of nutrients to improve your healthy bacteria. But specifically, the reason why you want to eat vegetables, legumes, beans, and fruits are because of the fiber content. All of these are high in fiber, and fiber helps stimulate the growth of certain bacteria in your gut. So here's a list of some foods that are high in fiber for you, just as a little reference. And like I said, there's a lot of foods out there that are high in fiber, but these ones are particularly higher in fiber than most. And definitely good to incorporate in your diet. So the next thing I want you to know is I want you to eat foods rich in polyphenols. Now, these are plant compounds. So red wine, cocoa, dark chocolate, grape skin, green tea, almonds, onions, blueberries, broccoli. These all have a component called polyphenols in them. So it's another thing that's digested that also helps increase your gut bacteria. And studies have shown that it also helps reduce blood pressure and inflammation, your cholesterol levels, and oxidative stress. So overall, it'll help you feel better. Next food I want to touch on is your whole grains. Now, whole grains, once again, they contain a lot of fiber, specifically non-digestible fiber, which is good because it's broken down in the large intestine, and that also helps promote the growth of the good bacteria. So pretty much everything that we just went over, it's all to help promote the growth of the good bacteria, good microbiota. So you're probably asking, okay, so here's all the good foods, all the things that are great for me. What do I need to avoid? Well, one thing in particular that can really affect your digestion, it can cause constipation, and it also can causes a depletion in the good bacteria in your gut, is artificial sweeteners. And I know a lot of people tend to consume these. They're kind of everywhere now. But studies have shown that it negatively affects your gut microbiota because it contributes to an impaired insulin response. And you're probably wondering, what does that mean? It means that your body has trouble processing foods when you eat this because it's depleting the one thing in your gut that breaks down all the nutrients, all the food. It carries the nutrients to all parts of your body. So that's the one thing that you do want to avoid. So you're probably asking yourself now that my gut is healthy, what other foods can help power my brain? So there's two nutrients in particular that I really want to cover, and that's your omega-3 fatty acids and then your B vitamins, because these are considered your brain food, the foods that power your brain. So omega-3 fatty acids are essential fatty acids that help feed the brain, and it also helps build new cells, which is very important because our body is cells are constantly dying and cells are constantly being rebuilt. So you need that component to help rebuild the cells. There's 3 types of omega-3 fatty acids. I'm just going to call them EPA, DHA, and ALA. So sources of EPA and DHA, which also have been shown to help boost testosterone and do a lot of great things for you, help with energy. But these can be found in fish, beef, chicken, and particularly it's high in grass-fed animals. They tend to have a little bit higher amount. So keep that in mind. So that's why beef can, in moderation, can be good for you. And sources of ALA that can be found in your plant products. So there's tons of foods with omega-3s, but I wanted to list some out for you. So salmon, specifically fish products too, are high in your omega-3s. And the 2010 dietary guidelines actually recommends that you eat 2 to 3 servings of fish. You eat fish 2 to 3 times a week. Sorry about that. So here's an example of some foods that are high in omega-3s: salmon, sardines, mackerel, fresh tuna, trout, herring, halibut, oysters, shrimp, beef, flax seeds, walnuts, chia seeds, and soybeans. So now that we touched on the omega-3s, I want to touch on the B vitamins. This is the other component that kind of helps fuel your brain. The B vitamin group is actually very functionally diverse, meaning that the B vitamins do a lot for your body. Anywhere from cognition to just help overall function. So it's essential for supporting your metabolism, producing energy, and fighting disease and infection as well. But the B vitamins are important for the brain because early on, particularly infants, it helps their brains develop. It's pretty much what prevents any neural tube defects or any complications, and it helps gradually build the brain, which is why it's also important for adults to consume too, because obviously our brains are going to be full grown, but it also helps with the function of our brains. So here's a list of some key B vitamins and the food sources. So and these ones in particular really help the body and the gut and the brain. So vitamin B1, which is thiamine. I'm just going to read them off because there's a lot of foods that are up here, and I just want you to know kind of just a general idea of them, because there's a lot going on in this YouTube video right now, but I want you to be able to take away the key concepts. So vitamin B1, which is thiamine, vitamin B2, which is riboflavin, niacin, vitamin B6, vitamin B12, and folate. So folate and B12 specifically are very important to the development of the brain and cognition, because it's a big give and take, because too much folate can actually mask the effects of the vitamin B12 and vice versa. So they really work well together, but at the same time, like too much of, like if you're taking a supplement specifically, that's where it can get kind of dicey, and those B12 and folate can interact with each other in a bad way. But chances are that's not happening, so try to incorporate these foods into your diet. So that's pretty much the overview of the gut and the brain. So like the first slide, these are the points I want you to take away. And if there's any slide or any part of the PowerPoint that you should listen to, it's the first slide and the last slide. So the points to take away are: a healthy gut equals a healthy brain. You want to regulate your gut by eating a variety of foods: prebiotics, probiotics, vegetables, fruits, legumes, beans, and whole wheat products. Avoid artificial sweeteners. In order to power the brain, we also want to eat omega-3s, which are found in fish products and other sources, and then your B vitamins as well. So that's how you can spring your brain into action. Thank you.